Unlike Nia, who had the fewest amount of sets, Jay has over 20 sets, so if I want to get through this video, I better get started. For those who have not seen any of my previous ranking videos, the rules for the list are the following. TV show portrayal will not matter in this list, and things like polybags, small side builds, and junior sets will not be on this list. This one shouldn't be a surprise to those who know what I think about the EVO sets. Jay's EVO Dragon isn't anything special. In fact, I would say it's the only set on this list that I actually dislike. There is really nothing new to say about it. The wings are weird, and it looks very simple. The body looks especially weird to me. The head mold is good though, so that's a plus. If you're able to find some joy in this set, that's great, but I just haven't been able to. Jay's plane thing from the combo mech is pretty boring. I think the thing I dislike about it is the fact that it uses a dark blue instead of using the regular blue that is in every other Jay set. It also lacks creativity, basically being another version of Jay's Velocity Racer, just with different colors. Jay's Velocity Racer isn't bad, but it's not really great either. It is a very basic jet build, with one function that spreads out the wings. There isn't even any kind of shooter, which almost every LEGO set has. The giant blade on the back has its pros and cons. You can use it as a handle, which is nice, but it also sticks out and doesn't really blend in with the rest of the build. I know that I said the Cole's Dragon Cruiser might have been the worst crystallized set, which was a very controversial opinion, but the Dragon Bike might actually be the worst crystallized set. The bike is very average, with the biggest flaw being the lack of coverage in the front. There are some decent parts to this, like the dragon head in the front, but in general, this is a pretty weak bike. Additionally, I will say that this bike does look a lot better when you add in the Jay Dragon figure, but this list, we're not going to be including the Jay Dragon figure on the bike. It's just the bike itself, and I think it looks a lot worse without the minifigure. There's only one set on this list that I do not own, and this is that set. And because of that, I cannot in good faith put it any higher on this list. There is clearly a reason I have not bought this set in the last 8 years it has been available. It doesn't look good to me. The front of this looks really cool, but the back is what hurts this set. The cannon looks weird, the crate next to it doesn't help, and the ghost container gives me Invasion from Below vibes. Ugh. This just isn't the set for me, although one day I will find a decent deal on this set, and I will get it. The Desert Lightning is another standard bike set from Ninjago. There isn't anything particularly bad about this, but there's nothing great about it either. If you want a default J bike, this one is perfect, and while there's nothing wrong with that, everything else on this list is a bit better. You might be surprised to see this so low on my list because it's a really iconic set with a super cool feature, and it looks pretty decent. Except I own this set, and while it's been a long time since it has been built, the function was absolute garbage when I used it.
That wasn't the best?
Half the time, it wouldn't come out all the way, or it would fall apart, or something would go wrong, and it really ruined this set for me. Now, I'm not going to deny that there's a possibility that the function didn't work very well because I was a very dumb kid who probably built it wrong, but the fact is, this is my list, and the experiences I had with this set were not good. This one was really tough for me to place, but ultimately I decided to place it here. The original Thunder Raider has always been a mixed bag for me. The vehicle is pretty good, but I've always felt that this version without the Cole mech attached to it was somewhat weak. It just feels like it's missing something, and to be fair, there literally is something missing. You do have the ability to push back the center console, which is a unique feature and helps make the Thunder Raider look a little bit better, but unfortunately, that feature isn't good enough to elevate it any higher on this list. Jay's Subspeeder is a better version of the Jaywalker one. In fact, to me, it sort of feels like a Jaywalker 1 2.0. The thing is, it's still a pretty standard car. It does have two functions that are pretty unique. The wheels move in different ways, and the front part is detachable. The windshield piece also looks very good on it. The thing is, the functions aren't really that great and don't add much to this set. Instead, it's just a generic car set, which is good, but as previously stated, sets have to be a little more than average to make it high on this list. Jay and Nia's race car EVO is again a generic car set. I'm not going to be looking at the top part because that's a Nia jet, but the rest of this car is pretty good. The truth is that there's really not that much of a difference between the sub speeder and this set. I just prefer this one a little more today, and that's why I have it higher. Perhaps in a month they'll switch spots if you were to ask me, because I basically view them as the same level. This one might be controversial, but I personally wasn't that big of a fan of Jay's Cyber Dragon. I think the head looks off and the jet feels a little big and out of place. The thing is, the rest of this dragon is really good. I can't give enough credit to the designers for including the disc shooter and the torso, and actually doing a decent job hiding it. Plus, it actually looks like something you'd see in a video game. I can definitely see the appeal of the set, but to me, this one isn't anything more than average to above average. There are a lot of sets that look better in person than in the images, but this set was the opposite for me. It's easy for me to say some bad things about the set, like the head looks a bit awkward, or it's smaller than I expected it, but the truth is that while this didn't live up to the expectations I had from the images, it still looks good as a display piece, and it has a ton of mixel ball joints that allow for great articulation throughout the tail, neck, and wings. Plus, the small size makes it very easy to swoosh around, which is a plus for any flying set. I'd say everything at this point and beyond has taken a step up from the previous sets, which to me were mostly average. The ELECTRO MECH is one of those sets that I absolutely love. The thing with this set is it just hasn't held up with time that well, and it infuriates me that this set did not get a real legacy version, but instead only got a 4+ rendition. In general, this mech is pretty basic. Everything about it is pretty solid, and definitely one I am happy to have in my collection, but I do think everything I have above is better than this one. I have been a fan of this set since day one, and for the longest time, this was the only set I had bought from the wave. Jay's Lightning Jet EVO is basically a smaller version of the Stormfighter, and a perfected version of Jay's Velocity Racer at a smaller size. I can see someone having this much lower on their list because it lacks originality and any interesting features, but I think it's a perfect little plane and absolutely worthy of this spot. The Thunder Raider from Legacy is a bit better than the rebooted one, but still suffers from similar problems of feeling incomplete. Just looking at this from the back or side can be rough without Cole's mech. However, there are some solid things about it. I think it does a better job at looking like a complete set without Cole's mech, and I also think all the extra detailing really helps. It's not perfect, but I think it's definitely a suitable upgrade and one of Jay's better sets. This set, objectively speaking, should not be this high. Stormbringer is a weird dragon. The head and neck are literally one thing, plus the wings are super tiny. Additionally, this has a combo thing with a boost. Go ahead, look at that thing. But thing is, none of that matters because Stormbringer has some sort of charm that will forever elevate it to a spot way higher than it deserves to be. Plus, the tail design that it has is my favorite tail design that LEGO has used for dragons. It's just so easy to whip around, and I think that helps add some charm to Stormbringer. Now we have a dragon that is objectively very good. This dragon is unique in the fact that it mostly stands on 2 feet. The bottom looks great, and the tail also has so much going on with it. The head is fine. I don't think it adds or takes away anything from the dragon. The wings are also really impressive, and the only flaw I can think of is the tail being a bit too heavy and falling down sometimes. The truth is, at this point, every set on this list could be a number 1 set, so it really just comes down to the personal preference here, and I prefer everything else on this list just a little more. Jay's Titan mech is a strange mech. This is a very solid mech, but I don't think I would call it the best Ninjago mech of all time. The mech has a unique style which helps give this set a breath of fresh air compared to other Ninjago mechs. The most signature thing about it is whatever the heck is going on the back of it. The thing is, the torso of the mech just feels way too small, and part of the reason I feel this way is because it has long and skinny arms and legs compared to the rest of other Ninjago mechs. If the torso doesn't bother you, I can see why a lot of you might have this set at number 1 on your list, but the torso bothers me, and that's what keeps it down. The original Lightning Dragon is the best of the original dragons and an all-time dragon in my opinion. The dragon is absolutely massive and is honestly the only OG dragon that holds up. Long ago I had this set built and the wingspan was huge. While cloth wings are better, these wings were large enough and looked pretty good. Some may not like the claws attached to the wings, but I think they're fine. Plus this dragon has so many good points of articulation on the waist, legs, feet, neck, and tail that help me justify placing it high on this list. Look, I'm going to be completely honest. There's two things that are great about the Lightning Jet: the handle and the fidget spinner function. Additionally, the jet is this massive thing that looks really good. The best part are the antennas sticking out on the side that were designed in a way that they would not fall off all the time. I really love this set. I think the function is cool. There's one set I prefer more. The Legacy Stormfighter takes the iconic Stormfighter from 2012 and makes it better. The function actually works this time, probably because they didn't use a rubber band. Additionally, they modernized the Stormfighter by beefing it up and giving it some extra detailing, but it does stay true to the original one, especially the function, which is exactly the same, just designed better. In my opinion, this is another perfect set, and it's personally my favorite J set.